What causes women to lose interest in a man? For 20 years, Penelope, queen of Ithaca, waited for her husband Odysseus to return to her from the Trojan War, which lasted a decade, and it took him another decade to make his way home through a long journey full of hardships. He had to tie himself to a mast to avoid being seduced by the siren song. He fought monsters like the Cyclops and the god Poseidon. He battled the elements and lost his entire ship's crew, all to return to his beloved Penelope. And during those 20 years, 108 suitors knocked on her door, and she rejected every single one. Why? And what can we learn from this story about what women look for in men? Well, one answer for why she rejected them is that she still loved Odysseus and was faithful to him. That's true, but in my view, it's not a sufficient answer. Her husband was a man worth waiting for, but there is also a statement being made here about the lower caliber of men who were courting her. After all, she couldn't really know whether he was alive or dead, and 20 years is a very long time. Statistically, he wasn't supposed to come back. That's what happened to the rest of the men on his crew, at least. Part of the answer has to do with the fact that the suitors had no direction. They had no purpose external to the woman. This is a very deep observation about the dynamic between men and women that appears across many cultures. In good relationships, the man's face is turned outward, outside the home. And where is the woman's face turned? Inward, toward the home, toward the family. We see this idea in Judaism as well. This is where the expression Akeret Habayit, foundation of the home, comes from, in the sense that she's the essence of the home, not in the sense that she's forbidden to leave. We also see it in the popular New Age book, The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida, who discusses this. So the suitors weren't connected to their masculinity in this sense because their faces were turned toward Penelope. That's all that interested them and occupied them. That was their purpose, to obtain the woman. To their credit, they were too young to go to war when Odysseus was drafted. They were the same age as Odysseus' son, who was an infant when his father left him and his mother. But here too, we witness a very deep phenomenon. Hard times produce strong men who go out to fight, strong men produce good times, and good times produce weak men who produce hard times. So the young generation in Greece, particularly the suitors, who were sons of wealthy upper-class men who didn't have to fight, who didn't have to find for themselves a higher goal to strive toward, remained childish and spoiled. But Penelope, because of the rules of hospitality and etiquette, couldn't refuse the suitors, so she had to buy time. She did this by telling them that whichever one of them passed a test she set would be allowed to marry her. The test was to shoot an arrow from a bow through the holes of the handles of 12 axes. In other words, the test is a test of direction. It essentially examines whether the men themselves, who are likened to arrows, are goal-oriented. And of course, none of them succeeds until an old man arrives and passes the test. And then it's revealed that he is none other than Odysseus, who returned from the war. So, if we come back to the question from the beginning of the video, the quality women look for in men is direction, purpose. In my next video, I'll talk about what women can learn from Penelope about how to find a partner. Thanks for watching.